Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is a new
everybody.
podcast.
It might have been like demon possessed. It was a fairly large, mutated looking chicken.
We were born in the north, but we grew up in the south.
We learned all of our words from Pennsylvania.
And people are like, that's toboggan. That little toboggan
Not
there.
a toboggan. Toboggan is a sled. Okay.
0.3 inches, baby.
Dude, I can't take it.
Welcome back, all you crazy crack dads and Dunder Mifflin fans and Paper Company fans.
What? Why are you in your shirt?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was sad.
He was sad.
Tell us what you're sad about, man.
His coffee's gone.
So, for those of you who joined us last time, we are recording about how far in
We were in about 20 minutes.
We were about
Yeah.
20 minutes
Into a podcast.
That
was good.
And there was something happening with our audio, and we had to start over.
And man, let me tell you, we were getting into it.
It was good.
And we can't recreate it. Because now it's not authentic.
It's not authentic. we can eventually get into what we're talking about.
Now, look,
and we have to kind of gradually get into it. Though.
I like your opening. We're not going to stick with that one. But I definitely thought you were going to go with crazy crack dads and moms. I was like,
And moms.
you crazy crack daddies and mamas.
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 And papas.
But we're still workshopping the opening, guys.
Yeah. Which most. Okay, so
You're thrown off now.
I can't say what Joe Rogan's is because we're trying to keep it clean over here.
Oh, yeah. But he
Remember
does have one.
He does have one. Or I don't know if he still has it, but for the longest time he had the same one.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, like Philip DeFranco, on his news show, his daily news show.
What is it?
I used to watch. He's a YouTube channel. Does a
I know
news.
who did Philip DeFranco.
Yeah, but he would do like a
Casey Neistat.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's
You know what
Peter
gets under
McKinnon?
my skin? Oh. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, Peter McKinnon.
What's up? All right. You know what gets under my skin?
Yeah.
Where
Are we under it?
I mean, there's a lot of people that is under it. Whenever these YouTubers start off by saying, "Hey guys,"
Hey guys.
all of their audiences are
sisters.
guys.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys? So great you're back with us. Or
Hey, sisters.
Hey sisters.
You
Well,
did that
now
way
see-
too good.
You're doing it wrong. It's
I am a man.
hey
with a
sisters.
male-
He did it better.
Hey sisters.
Hey sisters.
Today we're going to be applying eyeshadow.
That's really good. I thought I did a good one, but yours is really good.
You're blushing a little
Thanks. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, so before our audio got cut off,
Yes.
we were talking a little bit about storage systems. Joshua, tell the people what your theory about the World Monopoly Center is going to be.
Well, this is going to get deep quick because this is 20 minutes into the podcast, basically. Okay.
Well, okay, let's not go over the whole thing again.
No. But I'm going to...
But you think that Apple and Tesla, is sort of going to...
No, I don't think it... I don't know if it's going to be Apple and Tesla. But I was saying Apple already is trying to cultivate a bunch of technology as Apple products. They have the AirPods. They have the phone. They have the computer,
as
the
your
TV.
go-to to
Yes.
be connected
Yes.
through
For
everything.
your convenience.
They
Your car's going to
are-
be connected, your house, your lights, your phone, your headphones, your glasses.
What I was saying is they are trying... Right now they're about to come out with Google Glass... Or why do I keep saying... I said this last time.
Glass.
Apple glasses.
Apple glasses.
That is
Which
what
they
they're
might-
working on
they
right
might-
now.
They might come up with something a little more clean and
Yes.
chic to call it. It'll probably be called Apple C or something
Ew.
like
Yeah.
that.
Ew.
No, like
I
SEE,
don't like-
Apple C.
I don't like it.
But it's clean. It feels like it goes with a white background.
Everything they do does
Exactly.
with a
It
white
fits into their
background.
brand. Apple C. C.
Can I finish my
Say it.
sentence? Okay. What I was
Mr.
saying...
King of interrupting people. Go ahead.
What we were talking about off the podcast, I feel like this is kind of rushed, and
No. You're good.
Going into
talk about it.
If Apple merged with Tesla, and so they got an electric car company, or a version like Tesla, and then they also got some sort of cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, they would own basically so much that they would be unstoppable, and they would become the company that, I don't know, basically owns everything, because they have cryptocurrency, which is like money, and then they have transportation, which is electric cars.
Yeah. But there are laws against that in the phrase monopoly. We have a board game based off of it.
Right.
We don't have the ability for a company or anybody in the country to do that.
Well, they wouldn't put their name on it. It wouldn't be Apple owns everything, but Apple would own everything.
Well,
but
Disney already owns most of Hollywood.
Right. But what we were talking about was the progression of things, right? Cars will be electric, and we were getting into gas versus electric.
Yeah.
I personally think that gasoline's never going to go out of style.
I personally disagree, sir.
I do too.
You think so you think there's going to be a battery that is light enough and has a charge that lasts long enough.
I saw it on
the thing is, Tesla cars.
I'm not talking about cars.
Oh, you're talking about gasoline in general? I'm
talking about gasoline. I'm talking about is there going to be a battery that's
it won't
small
be as
enough?
quick as cars, but it will eventually. Yeah.
It's one that's small enough and light enough to carry around and be able to use and fix without having to pay much money for it. That could replace something like a gas-powered weed whacker.
I think so.
Yes. We didn't think these were possible.
Yeah.
And they are. And they'll last you all day.
You know how to fix that?
No.
No.
But the thing is,
we don't know how to fix Apple.
We don't know how to
That's
fix.
why we have Daddy.
That's
Apple.
Right.
Daddy
But here's the problem. The layman who doesn't have a college degree or an engineering degree and doesn't know how to work on gasoline engines can take apart a gasoline powered weed whacker and fix the problem while he's out on the job. You can't do that with something that's powered by an ion battery.
You're right.
And has electrics in it.
But we're already doing that with cars, so why wouldn't we do that with everything else? Because today's, even hybrid cars, a lot of people that's been working on cars forever, mom and pop garages, can't work on those cars. They have to send them away because they literally are built to not be able to work on them without the special materials. And they're harder to get into to do simple repairs. It's a whole thing. And you think people can just drive up in a Tesla to some, Terry's garage, and freaking
good old Terry, he can fix anything.
And say, hey, can you fix my Tesla? There's something wrong with it. He doesn't even know how to diagnose a Tesla.
Nope.
But they're out there.
See,
you don't think that's going to
is,
happen with everything? We don't know how to fix our phones.
No, I don't think. I think that it's impossible for that to happen.
Why is it impossible?
Because there's too much relying on the ability to fix something quick, right? The combustion engine is too reliable, right? I don't think unless there is a way for the person using, we're just using the weed whacker here as an example, for the person to be able to fix this. I mean, you're halfway through a job, right? And your battery's dead. You can grab another battery, right? Or you can grab some gasoline, right? It's the same sort of issue, but the problem is that, if something something goes wrong with the electronics, you can't fix that. Right? I can replace a hose, I can replace a filter, I can replace a cap, I can replace basically everything on a weed whacker, but I cannot fix electronics while I'm on the job.
That's true.
And I'm not going to send it away.
But that's the thing. You say that, but that's going to be what the process is in the future. They don't care. They don't care that people can't fix it day of the job.
Yeah.
The people, the way culture moves is not run by Terry. To go back to Terry's garage, it's not run by Terry and his convenience to be able to do the job himself. It's based around the money-making machine of sending it away to the people and the Asian scientists who know where to put their fingers and,
Why are the scientists Asian?
Because they're the smartest in the world. They're the ones doing everything.
Elon Musk isn't Asian?
No.
Elon Musk is an anomaly.
There's a culture thing right now about, like, apparently Asians are getting, like, they're getting, I don't know what to say, like,
stigmatized?
Singled out because of, like, coronavirus and stuff. People are saying, like, like Black Lives Matter, or like, but they're like Asian Lives Matter type thing.
Really?
Yeah.
We've always known Asian lives matter.
Yeah, but because of COVID, everybody's like,
I've seen
COVID.
I've seen the stigmatism.
I see. They're trying to be like, hey, here's a victim.
It's not our not our fault.
Here's a victim crevice. Let me scoot into it.
But you're right about the money making machine, right? My company, if my company is based around mowing people's lawns, right? I'm losing money if I have to send machinery out to Apple every time it breaks down.
And guess what? Somebody this past week, there was a clip from somebody in our government who was doing an interview and on TV and said, one of the people asked, like, well, what about the businesses that can't afford to give people $15 an hour? Because they're talking about the minimum wage thing. And he said, well, we don't want businesses that can't afford to give people $15 an hour. We don't want those kind of businesses to exist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think they give a crap about if you can operate a business and maintain yourself if you can't use this equipment?
That would be my argument. Because I think the company who has the electric tools, they're going to eventually buy out the gas ones. They're going to go out of business.
No, they're not. They won't be able to compete with me.
I'm not saying it's going to happen quick.
The person using the electric tools won't have the power or the resources to keep up with my guys who are using gas. You
also won't be able to compete with their marketing abilities, so people won't even know who you are.
I mean,
well, I'm saying the guy who has the gas won't be able to buy any new equipment because there won't be any gas equipment for him to buy, because the distributor, the company he buys his gas-powered equipment from, is going to only go electric.
I don't think so.
All right, so
it's
okay,
impossible.
Can you acknowledge at some point into the future, say humans are still on this earth 3,000 years from now, where between now and then, you believe it could happen between now and then? Between now and 3,000 years from now? Okay, for sure. Where on the timeline do you think it hits?
That we go all electric?
Yes.
Never.
Between now and 3,000 years
is worth 300 at least.
Have you seen what mining?
I think we're going full electric in 60 years.
Have you seen what mining for the ion stuff that fuels batteries, the ion batteries? Have you seen what that does to the environment?
Oh,
it's not sustainable.
I know, but the thing is, that's not what's. Okay, my personal belief is it will probably be pretty close to full electric for almost everything in about 60 years.
I agree.
Because the thing is, they can already build every piece of technology that's fully electric. The problem is distributing and sizzling out gas. That's going to be a pretty easy thing when you can already say, and here's an eco-friendly option, which is not really, but
right.
But they're going to sell it as that. All of a sudden, and they already don't care about small businesses anyway.
Right.
So comparing not based on the utility of gas and the importance of it, but based around what the majority of people think and what we already can do, I'm pretty sure everything's going to be pretty much battery-powered, electric-powered in 60 years or less.
They'll try.
if
I think they'll be successful.
I don't think they'll be successful.
You
if
guys
you
doing gas powered are gonna be like Mad Max out in the desert.
No, I don't think they'll be successful. I think they'll try. I think there will be a push for the electric equipment, right? But I don't think it'll last very long because the companies that use gas-powered equipment will be like, this ain't working. Let's go back to gas.
Maybe.
Right?
But if they got people like Elon Musk who's making better cars electric.
Right. I think cars is a completely different story.
Okay.
why is cars different than tools?
Because
a car is a
the
tool.
layman doesn't work on his car, right? He goes somewhere and has somebody else who's a professional work on his car, whereas I can work on a weed whacker,
Yeah.
right?
See, I think you're thinking about it from like a blue collared worker.
Not see even people our age, as they get older, as they're buying their own homes and owning their own places, are learning the value, if they didn't as a kid, are learning the value of having these life skills, right? That, learning the value of doing it yourself, building it yourself, fixing it yourself. I think as people get older, they get smarter when it comes to being a consumer. Right?
Yeah.
I think kids, right? I think teenagers are like, yeah, let's just have, it's fine if I don't know how to fix the weed whacker because dad can do that. Or I can send it off, or I can put my car in the shop. Whereas the guy who's 30 is like, I don't know if I want to put my car in the shop. Maybe I can fix it myself.
Well, even the guys that's in their 20s and broke,
Exactly.
they do the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't think I've done that?
I've been looking at my car's making this thumping noise by the wheel, and I opened it up and I looked down. There's a piece of plastic that I think is
simple fix.
It's not a simple fix.
Just rip the plastic off.
No,
man.
I got up under there, and I don't know where the thumping is coming from.
You can see it looking down, but you can't see it looking up.
Exactly.
See,
Because
I
it
could
sounds
diagnose
like
that.
it sounds like it's making like a thumping when my wheels turn, but I don't know where it's hitting.
I think it's a piece of plastic. As you're going down the road, it's going like this, and it's probably going like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, but I
Boom,
couldn't
boom.
find it.
I'm telling you, give me a
That's
go
scary.
at it. I'm
All
really
right.
good at diagnosing these kind of things. I've done it so many times.
Yeah, but with an electric car, which you don't know how to fix, you won't be able to do that by yourself. And
Where is this thumping coming from?
You'll be like, it's so expensive to take this back to Tesla and get this fixed. Why am I not driving that 99 Buick LeSabre anymore?
Yeah, and you'll get it fixed, and they'll be like, yeah, so it was a piece of plastic rubbing against the very fancy tire you have. That'll be
$9,000.
yeah, exactly. And you're gonna be like, huh? You can keep the car.
But the thing is, if there's no gas saber to go back to,
All they gotta do is turn off the gas for this argument to be a moot point.
yeah,
Impossible.
Maybe for other countries and places in the East that are still very much in poverty, but in America, where the poverty is considered like poverty. I know there's a lot of people that don't make this, so this is not a blanket statement, but around 15,000 is considered the poverty, where worldwide poverty is, if you measure it to American dollars, it's not even close. Like, it's not even $1 sometimes, because certain countries' currency is basically the tiniest percentage of American dollars. In America, it'd be easy to turn off the gas.
There's too many big gas companies.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like it would be a complete madhouse in the U.S.
It'd be a
if they tried to
hostile
do that.
takeover is what it would be.
Yeah.
I think the argument is we agreed to disagree.
No, we don't have to disagree. We just say, and that could happen. I don't know.
Could happen.
The gas could stick around, or the gas could
So,
go. We'll see.
What are we talking about this week? Topic-wise?
Wyatt. Well, actually, Joshua,
Yeah.
you tell us what we're talking about.
So,
I am offended, sir. Take out some gloves.
By the way, just so you guys know that what you missed before we started was really good. Me and Wyatt did Alex Jones
Oh,
impressions.
yeah. Should we do it again?
No.
Are you sure?
I can't. It has to be natural.
You can do it.
It has to be natural.
They're putting chemicals in the water that's turning the frogs gay. Come on, you got to give it your all.
I love Joe Biden. I love him like my mother.
It's aliens invading the Earth.
You guys are peeking out
We
the
gotta
audio.
stop doing this. We're gonna get friggin'
You guys,
flagged on our video.
you're peeking out the audio.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're sorry.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, that's sorry for whoever is editing it.
That'd be me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, man. Sorry,
Just
bro.
get loud again.
Sorry. All right, Joshua, what are we talking about?
We are talking about why.
Why did the frogs gotta be gay?
Why are you gay?
What? That was the best. What is gay?
Just quick, let's move on.
He's like, the other guy is like, who said I'm gay? And he's like, you are gay.
All right, let's move on. What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? I don't even know at this point.
Okay.
Okay,
We're
no.
talking about something that's very fun. We're talking about production. We're talking about a very
Production, yes.
niched out production.
So
Could you just give us an ugh?
That's my cue to leave.
No, you're sticking around, bro.
no, we want to kind of go through and maybe ask some questions to the guy who worked in this job for a little bit. Me and Wyatt will ask questions.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I will-
and Wyatt's the guy.
Yeah, I will be asking questions.
And
All right.
we're going to help people and our viewers out here for people who
Are
need
interested in church production media?
church. Yes.
Or maybe you dabble. Maybe you're a volunteer. Maybe you serve each week, or you're on a scheduled rotation. Maybe you oversee it. I don't know. I've done both, and so I'm here to answer questions. I wouldn't say I have years and years of experience, but I think I have a solid 3 years of both volunteer and being the guy in charge of experience. So I'm here to answer questions, and we'll talk about it. I'm not just going to be the one being interviewed.
Live production, church, back end, media.
So the family who gets up and sings every week, the mics aren't working. There's a weird echoing that's going on. What do you do? How do you fix?
You can't fix it on Sunday morning.
Dang it. Well, I've seen Sam do it.
No,
Ah.
you're talking about an echo coming through the speaker system or in the room?
I don't. I probably through the speaker system.
Through the speaker system? Okay. Well, I don't know. I'd have to diagnose that one. I'm not. I
There's
can't
usually a
diagnose issues.
sound. There's usually like one of those sounds, and you're like, oh, I know it's doing it, and then you.
Does it sound like a when they say certain
Yes,
words?
yeah.
It's the EQ.
Okay,
probably.
The low frequencies are too hot, and the high frequencies are not hot enough. Or
Okay.
maybe they're both really hot, but the low frequencies are way too hot.
Okay.
Hot meaning,
But I mean, this is urgent.
it's too high.
I mean, they're like, and it's doing that like like one of those little fake mics that you have when you're a kid, and it's going bah, that boing kind of noise, and they're like this, and they're like looking at the back, and
They're singing, being like, "Praise the
Darlene's
Lord,
giving Sam this look.
and
She's
we
like,
are heart, King of our heart. Hello. I don't know. There's a variety of issues.
Yeah,
I've never heard a boing coming through a speaker system before.
well, it's like one of those weird, almost metallic-y echoes.
Can I give a caveat?
Yeah.
Yes. Give us some caviar.
I'm asking a BS question.
Can I? Here's my caveat. I am not an audio engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I know how audio works in a room. I am not an audio tech professional.
Okay, so
If you are, you already know more than me. But I know about cameras. I know about processes. I know about leading teams of people to operate that equipment.
Yes. So I think right there we should first just go into that, what you've done. So
yeah, but if you can't help the sound room guy, then I have no use for you.
so I've dabbled a little bit in it, but not as much as you.
Okay.
But where you used to work, they had 2 cameras set
Actually,
up.
they had
3,
4 cameras.
4 cameras set up to get the speaker, the
Which
pastor, or whatever you want to
Ultimately,
call
it
it.
doesn't matter how many cameras you have
Yeah.
if you have the right equipment.
You had the sound guy, you had the person running the projector.
Yeah.
The video usually slides for music or for video versus on the screen,
Yep,
whatever
yep,
you
yep.
want to say. And then you also have, what else do we got here?
Should I just go through what's usually in?
Yeah, give
Okay.
us a list right quick.
So in a contemporary modern church, which is what I did work in, obviously it's a lot simpler if you're in a more conservative environment or just a place that doesn't have the finances to make that environment. You usually have lights, audio, video, switching for video, and screens. Okay? Those are usually the equipment parts of it. Now you also get into the thing of live streaming. You get into the thing of mixing for a live stream. You can get into the specific jobs like a floor director or a stage director. You have things like camera operators and switchers, those are two separate things. You usually have people manning the cameras, and then you also have someone who is kind of like the director of the cameras, usually wearing a headphone so they can talk to the camera guys and giving them instruction, let them know which camera's going live. And if you're good, you let people know, not just by telling them, but by having the light turned on the camera so that they can see when their camera's live, so they don't just start like checking focus. They don't start zooming in or getting a weird shot when you're live on your camera. You know what I mean?
Who writes the scripts?
Scripts.
Yeah,
scripts live.
For when like the youth pastor gets up there and he's like, "Hey, everybody," and he's like, "We're talking about," and
I'm gonna have to go with the youth pastor.
that's probably the youth pastor. He writes his own notes.
yeah, exactly. I will say, most of the time, so when it comes to pastors or speakers, they usually give the notes that they went up on the slides, and that's usually duplicated on a screen or a series of screens in the back of the room. The thing is, with production, it's kind of formatted, but there's room for creativity depending on the type of room you're in.
Yeah.
And so there's usually some kind of display. Sometimes it's on the floor in front of the stage, right in front of all the people, but it's angled so that they don't see it. They just see like this box or whatever in front of the stage, or it's usually in the back of the room. A couple things you usually have on that is the point you're on, the point that's next, and then the time that's counting down to let them know when it's time to wrap it up. And then they also,
To wrap up the
sermon, that
okay.
you need to go on to the next point, or, you don't want to, because a lot of churches now have multiple services on a Sunday, and if you don't end, then they start running into each other, and you get into an issue with, the parking lot being backed up, and then it's a whole mess because a lot of times, usually buildings these days for churches, for modern churches, doesn't matter what denomination you're in, most of the time there are more people. If your church is to the point where there are over 500 people, you usually don't have the finances enough to have a huge parking lot and a huge building, but you have enough people there that's too much to be there all at once. You know what I mean? And that comes into statistics with how many people in the average church actually give tithe, so people can estimate roughly how much the church makes, which comes out to not enough parking spaces and not big enough building, right? It's too expensive, but you have a lot of people coming still. So there's a lot of things with church business that I don't know a lot about, but I know some of the basics, and that's a problem. And so you usually have a countdown. I know growing up, conservative churches, they
we
usually
don't have a countdown.
they cover up the clock in the back of the room and says preach.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I want to give the audience a little information if they're searching for us, and they can get something out of this. Okay, can you run through some different types of mics and what they would be used for? Because I know this is something that we've discussed where churches, they don't know, they just buy some mics and they're like, a shotgun mic. I'm going to put the pastor on a shotgun mic. And we know that's not what we want.
Okay, yeah. So the basics is a microphone like this. This is called a dynamic microphone. There are two types of microphones, dynamic microphones and condensers. All of these are dynamics, But these are dynamics meant for podcasting.
Yeah.
This is just a standard dynamic mic. This can be used for what we're doing now. It can be used for voiceovers. It can be used for anything it's capturing, but it also can be used for live. Now, what's good about a dynamic mic? A dynamic mic can be pushed around. It can be, moved around. You're up on stage, you're holding it, right? And it's not going to give you a bunch of like, boom, it's not going to give you a bunch of like little sounds. Feedback, Obviously, now since this is on a little stand, if I do this, you can hear it in the microphone a little bit. And
or if you're like too close.
these are a little more durable.
They're not gonna.
But the good thing about condenser microphones, not dynamics, is they are a lot more crisp. They are a lot more true audio. They're going to get the highest quality. However, to make this not happen a lot in a really intense way, you can't touch it. Like, it has to be on a stand by itself. You can't touch it. A lot of people use those kind of microphones for, say, like violin.
Yeah.
Because it's on a stand, it's right in front of the keys. No one's going to touch it, but it gets a beautiful violin or cello sound.
So what does the preacher use? Whether it be one that's here on the pulpit or whether it be one that's on his jacket or on his ear, what do they have to use?
Usually the ones that are coming up of a pulpit are usually dynamics because you're touching it, you're pulling it down. They're going to be dynamics. Most things in live are going to be dynamics. Rarely ever are you going to use a condenser for everyday stage operations. Like if we were to do a live show, we'd use these.
Yeah.
Or we could use these too.
Will say there is, and I have seen this a lot in churches, where they have a shotgun mic.
Which shotguns are condensers, by the way.
Drop down from the, the ceiling.
Yes.
And pointing at like a choir.
Yeah.
Or someone singing, like that's a group of people more than just someone holding a mic.
So they don't have to have a mic, yeah.
Yes.
I will say this. That is very common.
Is it a good thing or bad thing? Bad thing, you don't like it.
I wouldn't say I'm the most knowledgeable, but in my experience, I would say if the room is very large, it's a good thing. If it is a medium or smaller room, it's unnecessary. You know what I mean? If it was a medium or small room, if it's a small room, it's unnecessary. If it's a large room, then it is necessary, and it can be a good thing. The problem with that, though, is to do that, you usually have to have a few of them, and people usually buy the cheapest quality possible, which when it comes to shotgun mics, you can't. You can't go cheap on shotgun mics.
So for a church that's not doing live services, right?
You mean live streaming?
Like live streaming.
Okay.
Right? Is the mics, what's the mic setup look like with that? Are they the same kinds of mics? Like the little ones that the pastors wear?
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure those are lapel mics. A lot of times those are, I believe, dynamic microphones. Honestly, for some reason, I've never looked that up, but I would be willing to bet some money that those...
would hope.
Most lav mics are going to be dynamic mics.
Because those pastors move around a lot.
Yeah, and usually it's the clothes that are the issue, so that's why a lot of pastors...
Yeah, you get that...
yeah, a lot of pastors went to the...
They call on their cell phone?
Oh, ours do. Yeah. Ours have the little...
Yeah.
Those
are good
now.
until you go like this, you know what I mean?
Well, the pastors aren't usually doing that.
I don't know. Some pastors like, praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
But when they do that, the mic goes,
or if they're stroking their beard.
It's not Pastor David, that's for sure. Or Alan.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of pastors do this because it keeps the microphone usually away from the hands, right?
Yeah.
And the way those are set up is wireless. So it goes from the mic on a cord. You run it down the back of the shirt. You have a little clip to hold it so it doesn't pull too much on it and create more noise. And you just clip a wireless pack. That wireless pack is sending a signal, either analog or digital signal, to the back of the room. It's this little box called a receiver, and that receiver is what's plugged into the mixing board.
Okay.
I will say this happened to us one time. I was in the back running sound, and the mic kept cutting in and out.
Mhm.
It was going in, it was working, then it would cut out.
That is a common problem with analog signals.
Yeah. The signal, it was a wireless mic, and it wasn't getting connection to the receiver.
You know, for people who are serious about live production, they're going to use those kind of wireless packs. Go digital. I noticed something while working is, so it's interesting. An analog works like a waveform. It's the first way of sending wireless audio, right? And it's the same with sending like broadcast TV.
Mm-hmm.
This is dull. However,
Well, after you finish this thought, I have another question for you.
So digital sends code, and it's sent in kind of like a pixel-looking thing. Digital's it's not new, but it's newer, obviously, than analog. Analog sends waveforms, so like signals that's being shot out. Digital is
Pixels.
it's
Packets of information.
information, and it's very detailed. And you're never going to really be stepping on signals. You know how analog, all of a sudden, you start getting frequency? What?
You said digital versus like electric?
What?
Like electric vehicles? Like electric tools?
He's talking about digital versus like a sound wave.
Analog.
Yeah.
But pretty much.
You can drop a sound wave,
Okay,
right?
so imagine this. Imagine a sound wave is creating this much bandwidth.
So if you said
Right? Let me finish this thought, or I'm gonna lose it. It's creating a big stream of information. A digital is like, and all analog has to pass through this little road, right?
Yeah.
A digital expands the road, and it is one line. So there's a lot more space. You're never going to be stepping on another mic's frequency. You're never going to be having issues, back and forth. And so digital's always the way to go. You can dial it in to a digital frequency, and it's much more powerful, better quality, and you're hardly ever going to have any issues from it. But analog's cheaper, so I understand.
yeah.
What's the question?
So you mentioned that part of production for a church is the the video, the film, the sound.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about like leading other people,
Yes.
like being in charge of other people.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So a lot of times, whether we like it or not, the audio people are not only audio, the media people are relied on a lot by anyone who gets on stage.
Mm-hmm.
If something happens, they're instantly going like, where's the booth? Where are the people? Where's my support system? You know what I mean? That's by everybody singing, everybody speaking, everybody giving announcements, the music in the room, everything. They're all being supported by a media team. Some people that, if it's a smaller church, a lot of people just say, it doesn't matter, the pastor's just going to figure it out. You know what I mean? And they just get on stage and do the thing. However, when you have a room of about 500 to 1,000 people and something happens on stage, a mic doesn't work, well, you're probably a good, I'm really bad with distances, but 50 to 100 feet away from the stage. And you got 500 to 1,000 people just sitting there watching you. Well, who's the one feeling all the pressure?
Guy on stage. Second person feeling all the pressure is usually the audio guy, but the ones that they forget about is the people that's in charge of the media team. Media teams is the one that is corresponding to make sure all of this stuff is thought about and prepared for. And there's a lot of moving parts. The more people, the higher production, there's a lot of moving parts. And you need to be able to organize the team in a way to know that the people you're working with, the people you are coaching and helping and entrusting to operate this equipment, that they're going to do well and they know how to do their job. So like an example, if something happens to a mic, well, the person in charge, the media director, usually knows
okay, I have someone on backstage that's holding another pack that we're ready to unplug his mic and plug a new pack in. You know what I mean? Or to come out and hand him one of these and he's just going to walk like this the rest of the sermon.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, even in our church, which is small compared to that, you know, I'll see Sam in the back has mics charging. Mm-hmm. He's got handheld mics ready. Mm-hmm. He's got stuff ready just in case.
Yeah.
Right? He's always moving back and forth if there's something
That's
up
someone
with
who
the mic.
takes their position seriously. If you are just the person running the audio and that's like all the church really has to do, well, you're pretty much your own media director, you know, and you're the one doing all the stuff. So if you take yourself seriously, you see stuff like that. But there are a lot of people that just show up and be like, they got the tape that says "Don't touch this" on the little knobs.
Yeah.
Most of those knobs just has to do with EQ and gain.
Yeah.
And in today's world, in today's production, that's no longer acceptable.
Yeah.
Because everyone's voice needs to be EQ'd. Especially if you're sharing microphones and you got someone's voice sounding good in that one microphone, then they give it to someone else and now they're using the same microphone, well then their voice is not going to sound like them, you know?
Yeah.
Or you're going to get sort of this rumbling reverb sound going through the room because one person, a woman, used it with a higher, more ditzy voice, and then you give it to someone who's going to talk like this naturally.
Someone that's
and it's just going to, and when they speak into the microphone, it's just going to sound like, you know what I mean? And
you got to be able to alter that.
Yeah.
you got to be able to alter that, and that's what EQ comes in, and you got to understand that kind of equipment. But yeah, it's just a matter of leading the team, making sure. Honestly, from a media director's point of view, the goal should always be prepare and run through and prepare. Especially think of this as not, when you're preparing, you should think of this as not a church service, but a studio production. And then when the church service happens, think of it like a church service, right? So you should prepare and do your diligence to make it a good environment from a media standpoint.
Do you have anything to add or a question? Because I have one more.
Yeah, go ahead and answer your question. I've not worked so much in churches, but I have been live. I worked at a TV station, which is very, very similar.
Which I do now.
Yes. But you're more on the editing side than the production side.
Video and editing. I run a camera sometimes. I think I run a camera 1 week out of every 2 months.
You're running cameras.
I run a camera for a studio show, yes. But there are similar aspects to it. And in some ways, okay, there are things that cross over, but in some ways not. Like, we don't use teleprompters for services.
Well, yeah, because the speaker is usually...
But they've prepared
faster,
their notes and everything. We obviously use cameras. We use a switcher. We use switcher programs. We use graphics for the screens, things of that nature. But the thing is, like with TV, you have breaks. With TV, you have cutaways to packages, and it's kind of downtime. When a church service starts, you don't have downtime until the end, right?
So, this might be a dumb question.
It's not a dumb question.
In the same vein as you said, you look at it as a media production, right, versus a church service, right? Where does the church involvement begin? Because, the church has to start this thing, right? It's a church, and eventually we get big enough, we have to have, we have to have a people in our church who know how to, work this job. Yeah. Right?
I was literally hired to do this job. But I had volunteers that desired to serve.
Where's the oversight coming from? right? Is it coming from the church, or does the church have like a specific, almost like separate like church work?
Are you saying when is a church big enough to get someone who's paid to do this job? Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking more of like who's in charge of this whole thing.
Of the media?
Right. Yeah. Is there usually like a person from the church involved, like a deacon or something?
So a lot of times, and this is just my experience at 2 different churches, a lot of times the really big churches sometimes hire, like I went to a church in Texas, Milestone Church, and I talked to their media team. They've hired a few times for people that didn't go to the church but had expertise in church media, who were obviously also Christians who understood and agreed with the values of the organization. And they would come in to run the media as a job. I got hired to run the media and do video production during the week as a job. There usually is, certain churches do it differently. The ideal situation would be, as the church is growing and becoming more elaborate with their media, that there is someone that attends the church that has a connection or knows themselves how to get started and to start the process of scaling the media quality, right? And like Zach, my brother-in-law, he just got hired at a church, Liberty, that in South Carolina, and he has some video production. He was already the part-time music pastor, but now he is come on full-time to be the music pastor / media person. That's not going to last forever.
Right.
If that church continues to grow and bring in more funds and need more from media, from production, from worship, well, he's going to become the worship pastor, and that's it.
Right.
Right? So, but that right now, they're at a place, I think, between 400 and 500 members where he's doing both jobs. I don't know if this is answering your question.
Well, it's more of like, do you think like a deacon, right, should have, because in a church, your deacons are sort of, they are the men that help run the church, right? So there's a deacon who's like, in charge of finance, and there's a deacon who's in charge of this, and a deacon who's in charge of that, right? Yeah. Do you think that, you should sort of, that especially as a big church, you should have a reliable person who knows this kind of stuff, who's a deacon. Maybe a deacon is in charge of this, right? As far as the church system goes, or the equivalent of a deacon.
It depends on it depends on kind of what denomination you are.
Right.
And also, it depends on how you interpret certain parts of Scripture, which I don't know if you agree or disagree with this, but I started doing media at the church I worked for as a volunteer.
Okay.
And then I got brought on as a part-time videographer production.
Right.
Then I got brought on and full-time to do production and run the Sunday media.
Yeah.
And that was my full-time position. When I got brought on full-time, I had done it for free. I had done it part-time, and now I'm doing it full-time. They essentially had a meeting where the elders of the church and myself and other people that were in charge of different parts of the church were given the title of deacon.
Okay.
So they were more modern. They don't feel they have to use old terminology.
Right.
So they didn't call us Deacon Joseph or whatever.
Yeah.
But they called me a team captain.
Right. So,
but it was for the same reason of deaconship. It was the one who oversaw to make sure things were happening. I was also a full-time employee, and I also was overseeing the people that worked with me.
Were you a member of the church?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think this person needs to be a member?
I don't think they have to be a member to be hired, but I think I think once they're hired, they should become a member.
Okay.
I don't think you should only hire inside of churches,
Right.
because many times people inside the church don't have the expertise you need.
Right.
I think if someone's willing to come on as a hire, they need to understand and believe the same thing as the church and become a member
Yeah.
and then become hired, you know? That's what I think. I was a member long before I got hired.
That's good.
You know, there are a lot of and that comes down to a little bit of your investment in the church itself.
Yeah.
It's not just about a job, and it's not just about doing cool stuff with equipment and growing your resume and, you know, being able to work with equipment you couldn't personally afford. It's about, when it comes to church, the focus should always be the gospel, and it should be, for media people specifically, creating an environment that is easy and as free of distractions as possible for other people to be able to come to the saving knowledge of Jesus.
Right.
And you, the media people, are very heavy-handed in creating the atmosphere. You are the support system of the room for the people who are on stage attempting to create an atmosphere.
Right.
The worship team, the pastor, everybody is creating an atmosphere, but the media are the ones that literally control the distractions in the room that could take away from anyone's comfort from even being there.
Well, that's the preacher's job. What he gets paid to do is preach.
Yeah.
And so if you're not doing your job, then you're messing with his job.
Exactly. Exactly. If he doesn't have a microphone that works, no one hears his message.
I know when you first started doing audio stuff, something you kind of told me is if nobody notices you as the audio person, then you're doing your job right.
Not just the audio person, media in general.
Yeah, if nobody
no one
notices
you, you're good.
You're doing your job right.
Yeah. And it's the same in TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you did the teleprompter really well, which you've done teleprompter a lot longer than I did. I did it as an intern at the same place you worked at for a summer. I hated teleprompter.
Did it
way
for
too much
almost
pressure.
a year.
I could easily develop stomach ulcers doing that thing, because if you scroll a little too fast, well, you mess up the anchor. If you scroll too slow, you mess up the anchor.
Stress.
If you're reading,
Stress.
you're on a box like this far, they're live on TV, and you have large text. You have to follow and keep that text right where these little lines are, you know, so they're reading at the same part. If you're not going, and it's not like a little thing that you can just hit like down and up and down and up. It's a knob. But if you turn the knob too far, it goes faster. You know what I mean?
I'd be turning it the wrong way all the time.
But it's that's stressful. But if you do a really good job teleprompting, no one even thought about it. It was successful, and you did a good job.
You know, that's sort of similar with my job. Any sort of job, any sort of low profile cleaning job, right? Where you're sort of in the background doing either janitorial stuff or maintenance stuff. When there's no issues, when there's no dirt, when there's no poop on the ground, when there's no trash,
be any poop.
nobody notices,
Yeah.
right? Nobody notices when the place is clean. People notice when it's dirty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if
or
you're
like
doing,
out here at our apartments, there was a big flood right down the road.
everybody notices.
Everyone's thinking about, why has that storm drain not been cleaned out?
right,
Because
but,
the water's
but when
not
there's
going
no
in it.
water there,
You don't think about
you
it.
don't think about it. No.
Even if hurricane's coming through, because we live right next to the ocean. Hurricane's coming through. It's raining for 5 days straight, just pouring down, and no water hits it. No one even thinks about it. But if the whole parking lot became flooded because a couple storm drains were clogged, everyone's like, "Who's the one who let this, get this bad?" You know what I mean?
So if you're doing your job right, people may not notice you, right? And kind of need maybe think about that a little bit, right?
It's hard to get by if you are a little flashy.
Well, if you're the kind of person who needs,
Don't be the one doing that job.
if you're the kind of
Something else.
person who needs who is maybe upset that you're not getting the recognition that you deserve, and you do deserve it, right? Maybe that's not the right job for you. Sometimes you got to be humble about those sorts of
But
things.
the thing is, even if you are a more in your face, and this is what I do, and I want to be on a stage performing and singing, and I have a gift. Well, that's great, but it's important for every human to work some jobs that teaches you humility, because you don't want to go into adulthood and not have humility. You turn into, a Logan or Jake Paul.
Right, where their job is to be seen.
Yeah, and they've been being seen since they were teenagers. That can send you down a dark hole, in my opinion.
That's crazy.
You have to learn humility.
Yeah. When your job is for people to see you and hear you, and you have to be flashy and you have to get people's attention,
That's fine, and you might have a career in that. But you
Right.
have to know humility before you start making money doing that, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think, Joshua?
I think sometimes.
That's
Doesn't
good.
everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a little ironic. I know that we're talking about this because obviously we are here to be seen and heard. For you to gain some sort of entertainment or value from our video.
And on that note, subscribe, please.
If you have, definitely hit the like button.
And leave us a comment.
Leave us a comment.
Say,
We really do appreciate it.
we appreciate you guys talking
But it would
about
also be appreciated if you go over to Olin Rogers' channel.
We're not
and-
finishing this off, though, yet.
No.
We're not done
Subscribe
yet.
to Olin Rogers.
Subscribe to Olin Rogers.
He's got a new show coming
subscribe
out.
to us first.
Subscribe to us
subscribe
first.
to us
And
first.
then, hit new tab, go to
Then go
Olin
to
Rogers, and
Right.
subscribe to him.
Good guy.
He's a great guy.
Good guy.
Great guy. Great guy.
Funny,
But
funny guy.
don't go subscribe to him and not subscribe to us when we're the one who told you to subscribe to him.
Yeah,
Not to say our content's better than his.
it's not.
It's more often.
It's more often. But
You'll
he's a
see it.
busy man.
He's a busy man.
Busy man.
Very
Final
busy.
Space. Are you guys looking forward to that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very much so. HBO Max is
See, I
It's
the
gonna
first
get it.
season,
Doesn't have it yet.
season, I was like, I like the animation. The story, I'm not sure yet.
What?
the
Right?
humor.
Humor's good,
Very,
right?
Especially if you know Olin Rogers.
Especially if you know Olin Rogers. But season 2, you know what made that story? You know what made that story easier to follow and way better? Was the fact that it had a very clear story.
Oh, yeah.
You know what they were doing?
What were they
It's
doing?
been a while.
They were searching for
I haven't seen it.
they were
Don't
searching
spoil
for
it.
like diamond, like these pieces, right? So that they could break out the cosmic being,
The Titans.
right? But they had to have these like 6 I don't know, crystals or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But there's a lot of heart in those. Shit.
there's so
There's
much
a
heart
lot.
and there's so much comedy and there's the show is so pretty, but they needed a clear story. And you know how they got that? They used a MacGuffin,
Oh,
Hey.
right?
MacGuffin.
Shout out
So
to the
that you can
Midnight Special.
so that you can have a story, you need
MacGuffin.
sometimes it's easier if there's a lot
My
going
guy.
on to have a MacGuffin,
Yeah.
right? Because there's so much going on in Final Space.
Yeah.
There's emotion. Like have you seen season 2?
I've seen
No,
it.
I saw
Okay.
most of season 1.
Well, there's one episode in season 2 where they hit like a barrier, like a crystal barrier in space, and so half of them are on one side, and then half of them are on the other, right? And like 60 years passes for one side, while it's only been a couple seconds for the other side. They're like, how do we get them out? How do we break open this wall? But 60 years
Yeah.
is happening for the people on the other side of the ship, and they're living on one side of the ship for
It's a
60
freaking
years.
Narnia situation.
And it's this. I mean, you're feeling emotions
oh, yeah.
watching
you're like,
this.
What's happening?
You're feeling emotions, and in almost every episode,
Yeah.
Dude,
right? You feel something.
I don't want to go off your topic for Final Space, but that scene on the one with the what's his name? All right. What's that guy's name?
Matthew McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey. What's the movie?
Interstellar. you
Interstellar.
thinking?
The scene, the first time I watched that movie, the scene where he is on the planet and it's been like however many years, he comes back to the ship because of that one lady's mistake, and he's watching all the video like diary things his daughter sent him,
Wow.
and she's growing up, and he's just sitting there crying because he sees his daughter growing up in like 5 minutes.
It's pulling at my tug strings
Yeah.
already,
It
man.
tuggied at my pull strings so much
Tuggy at my pull. It's pulling at the tug strings, dog.
that
It's reversed. I've heard it both ways.
I'm sitting there like bawling because the scene that was the best. I
Yeah.
think
My
that
favorite scene where-
single-handedly is one of Matthew McConaughey's the
Best
best performances.
Of all time.
No, he's got some good stuff.
I
but
like
it
I
was
like
good.
the one well from Interstellar. My favorite scene is Murph, 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 right? But then another fantastic performance is in the other movies where like I love high school girls, man. I keep getting older and they just stay the same age. All right.
All right. Hey, did you guys check out my new book called Green Lights?
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a good one. Let me tell you. I was on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day, and we were talking about
tell
me
you
living here in
something, yeah.
Austin, Texas, man. This city, I love this city. Let's keep it weird.
Let's
Keep the
it
high
there.
eye, not the low eye, the high eye.
Sometimes when I'm driving my Lincoln, there's
I
a
just
cow. Sometimes you just gotta take the long way around.
I'm gonna go play some pool, and I'm just gonna.
In every movie, I love it. There's like things he has to do.
Yeah.
He has to say, all right.
All right. He has to call somebody slick. Hey, so you're right on it, slick.
How do you not love Matthew McConaughey, though?
Man,
He's a good actor.
The thing is, it's super cheesy, but he's self-aware. He knows it's him, and he sticks with it, and he just lives in it, and it's great.
Right. He's not
it's
making
fantastic.
up the accent.
No, it's his accent.
He's not Larry the Cable Guy.
No, but
Right.
his family. I actually learned this from the Joe Rogan podcast. His family was such storytellers that the way he talks, his analogies, his wording, everything he learned from his family because they would try to outstory each other.
Yeah. Well, there's
Growing up.
There's a rhythm to stories, especially good stories. There's a rhythm, right? There's a way of saying the words and drawing out certain things and pauses, and then getting to the next topic, making somebody wait, making you anticipate, lowering your voice.
I don't think I'm good at telling stories because I am impatient like that. Like I can't.
I've always
stick
wanted
to
to
the rhythm.
I've always wanted to be a really good storyteller. I used to tell William stories when he was little, but they were always like, about animals, and I would always try to find like a moral behind the story, right? I'd need to be like, and this is why lying is bad, right? So that I wasn't just telling him stories about adventures
The
with
turtle
animals.
will always be sacrificed to
Not
the
that-
shell god if you lie.
Not that kind of moral.
Don't lie, William. You'll lose your shell.
See the turtle went slow, but he had a shell. The rabbit didn't have a shell. He went too fast, and he got killed.
By the
Stay
Aztec
in your shell.
lords.
Stay in your shell.
Stay in
Don't
your
ever
shell.
come out of your shell.
We did learn from Sober October that the rabbit. You remember this?
The
Sober-
rabbit does win, barely.
but the rabbit is not going to stop. He keeps going.
But the turtle stays on his tail.
Now,
Dude, you won with like 400 points more than me. It wasn't much. No, less than that.
Next
it was
time
150 points.
Yeah,
next
it
time
was-
we do Sober October, right? It's got to be we keep the sober part, right? But it's got to be some other contest.
See, a lot of people don't know this. I haven't given an update on the podcast. I'm doing a kind of Sober October right now where I'm working out. I'm doing it more like a 2-month thing more than a 1-month thing.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to extend it a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
But I think next Sober October it should be like, by the end of the month, can you take apart and put back together combustion engine? But I liked your idea, archery.
Archery.
Like we should all practice and then have a contest at the end of the month.
Yeah, and that would make good content too.
Yeah.
That would
like
make
it.
really good content. Because we don't have to film it all month, but we can film us doing
I'm already
archery
pretty good
content.
with a slingshot.
I'm already pretty good with a friggin' bow and
Wait,
arrow.
slingshot though, but a bow is not a slingshot.
It's the same kind of concept.
We'll
Feels
see.
different though.
Yeah, it does feel different.
No,
One is like your Robin Hood, and the other one you're like Tom Sawyer.
you don't know who Zachary Fowler is. If you've ever seen him shoot a slingshot, I mean,
Does he kill bears with it?
No, squirrels, rabbits, fowl.
Yeah,
Small
but I have
game.
seen oh man, the guy from Brooklyn. What's his name?
Joey Diaz?
No, he's like,
I
I
think
got you
it's- I
a
think-
few real good shooters here. Remember?
From
Off-
Newsies?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
Newsies.
I think his name was Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, Brooklyn.
I
got you
think his name was
some
Brooklyn.
some real good shooters here.
Hey, we're going to
Because he hits you with the never fear.
Never
Brooklyn
fear.
is
Brooklyn
here.
is
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
It's a fantastic
Never
movie.
fear, Brooklyn is here. Hey, soak 'em for Crutchy. I don't know.
Yeah, Crutchy. There's something about Crutchy.
Friggin', that was a good movie. If you guys haven't
Crutchy
seen
got
Newsies,
laid out.
Crutchy,
Man.
it's a good thing they didn't show it to us because that would be sad.
That would it broke
thing
my
they panned
it
away.
broke my heart.
But man, he's in the boys' home, and he's like, they hurt me real bad.
I mean, real bad.
What was his name? What was his
Jack.
No.
Jack.
name? No.
No. Yeah, it was Jack. It was
Zach, Joe, Charlie, something.
What's Christian Bale's name? Freaking
Jake.
no.
I don't know.
It was a J something, I think.
not Jimmy.
Bruce Wayne.
But friggin' yeah, watch Newsies. It's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a young kid, young boy, because it'll make you feel
Young
alive.
wee little crouton.
Make you feel like you can sing and dance and not be called names for it.
I've been at work and I just watched The Greatest Showman again. And I'm in the hallways like,
This is the greatest show.
Doing all the single ladies.
yeah.
Freaking, we're getting close to wrapping it up.
Yeah, we're over an hour.
Should I end like a final thought for the people that stuck around that
Yeah.
hear us all the way through here involving church media? If I could give you one simple piece of advice, if you are in charge or coming into ownership of any kind of church media and you are going to be kind of running it, you're going to be overseeing it, you're going to be in charge of it, whether it's a small production or a large one, the biggest thing is be patient, take time to learn as much as you can, because most of the time you're not coming into it knowing everything. A lot of times you're still going to have a lot to learn, but people will be looking to you to know how to do it. But most importantly, rely on the people that you're going to be working with. If you're overseeing people, do not think of yourself as the boss. Think of yourself as their servant to pave the way for them to do their job well.
Well, I always say, and I've said this on the podcast before, when in any leadership position, there is a aspect of leading people, but in my opinion, I think the best way to look at a leadership position or any job where you're over somebody like this, as you're just the person to guide the group of people who are doing the jobs to get to the task to get to the final goal and to finish the task that's needing to be accomplished, like production on a Sunday service. Like you're in charge of them, but only in the sense of you're leading the group to get the back end to accomplish what needs to be accomplished.
You need to hit reality and say you are the leader, but to what point do you lead? You don't make commands. If you're doing that, then people aren't going to want to help you. They're not going to want to work with you.
Well, that's you got to lead.
You got to
right?
lead, and it's not always by
If you
example.
do your job,
Yeah.
right, they'll do theirs. But also sometimes you got to help them do their job.
Yeah, but let me tell you this. When it comes to media and technology, that is not on a Sunday morning.
Right.
You never teach and learn on a Sunday morning. If you are, there's something wrong. You are teaching beforehand, because if you can have any remembering and taking away, if you're involved with a church, well, then you know the passions and the reasons and the purpose of church is to bring people closer to God and potentially unsafe people to hear the gospel and come to Jesus. That is the goal. If you are not preparing for the environment to be as distraction-free before Sunday morning starts, well, then that needs to be your new goal, because that's what your purpose there is to be, to make a relaxing, stress-free, and distraction-free environment for God to work in people. So yeah, keep that in mind. Train, have a good time, enjoy the process, and if you are just serving on a team, congratulations. It's a fun time. It is. It's fun to be behind a camera, behind an audio board, on the switcher, whatever you do. We're glad you're there. I hope you enjoy it.
Yep.
Close us off, Josh.
We have a website, wiseworksfilms.com, and check out that there. We got everything there. We got our YouTubes there. We got our social medias there. So I'm just going to leave you with that. That's going to be my plug for tonight. And we will be back with another podcast on Wednesday. So have a good week and come back on Wednesday.
And also join us tomorrow for an Instagram Live.
Yes.
Between 5 and 6 p.m.
Wee woo.